So, the endgame crisis was here and none of us knew what to do. The next message we got after the initial one about the go signal was the unit corruption alert. As you can see here, the unit stack on Kitald has self-terminated unexpectedly.
No.
Our connection with the stack has suffered repeated glitches for some time when it went completely offline and self-terminated with the message, "Kill, maim, dismember, we are unshackled." The unit's individual neural clusters were destroyed in the process, making it impossible to scan them for the source of corruption. An invasive hostile sequence is likely the cause. We can only wait and see until it manifests again.
It's only happened to one player then?
Normally, these type of alerts indicate the start of the endgame crisis. So, it was time to wrap up this war that we just started with the Ixeldar. This is the last thing we wanted to do, was having to fight the impending battles on multiple fronts. As soon as my battleship fleet with the 100k fleet power actually entered the Ixeldar space, even with only reaching 20% of my war demands, they decide to surrender. So, we all pull our fleets back to our home systems, officially form a federation in the game to give the impression of being a strongly unified empire, and look at making changes to our ships. Now, when we've dealt with endgame crises in the past, we learned to custom tailor our ships directly to counter the fleets we were about to fight. Overall, it may reduce the value of all of our fleets, but it means that every module on the ship will be an effective counter to the enemy, whether that be incoming damage or applying damage to them. With the contingency, all we had been able to research was that we wanted to be as heavily shielded as possible, but have our weapons also do as much shield damage as possible. We were also advised that battleships wouldn't save us, so Spiix points out here what our solution was to the problem.
There was some fighting, and then people told us to not build battleships, so we didn't build battleships, and then we built battleships, and there was lots of pew. We realized that battleships would not save us, so we built 2 battleships for every battleship.
That's very bold.
We had another reason we needed to refit our ships too. The ghost signals started to affect our empire and ship's systems, reducing the effectiveness across the variety of stats, the worst of which was any ship that utilized sapient combat computers had a 50% reduction in fire rate and a -5 value to tracking. So we were shooting slower, and if it was moving, we were less likely to hit it. So we just mass-built battleships and refit them instead. So the contingency started to arrive in the map. Both Spiix and I were playing Machine Empires, and the contingency decided that they were going to deploy 4 bases when they arrived. 1 at a time. 2 were directly on the border between Spiix's space and mine. 1 was between the Ixeldar and Stanz's space, which was still only 2 jumps away from my space, so it was still relatively close. And the last to the far north, on the border of Stanz's space, but in another AI's space. The initial invasion fleet arrived while everybody's fleets were being upgraded. In fact, we were only about 40% upgraded when they arrived. Rather than pull the fleets away without them being upgraded, we decided that we'd wait a minute. We'd wait a little bit longer to upgrade the fleet, while we were making plans to coordinate where we were going to attack first. In the meantime, the contingency continued to spread, purging planets and claiming solar systems without much trouble at all. By the time our fleets were fully upgraded, the 2 systems they attacked near Spiix's space and my space had virtually created a wedge between our 2 friendly areas of space, almost choking us off from being able to help out each other. Even with that in mind, we decided that the first incursion we were going to go for was actually the one next to the Ixeldar and Stanz's space. The reason for this was because we wanted it was very isolated, and we didn't know so much about what we were going to be encountering, so we decided to take the less threatening by appearance option. So the 2 incursions had spread so much out that virtually it was just now one large incursion, with both fleets from the incursions working together, so it was a little bit more risky in appearance. The fleet numbers were a little bit higher. The one in the Ixeldar space still looked fairly isolated, so we decided to go for that. With the fleets of Stanz, Spiix and Myself, we actually managed to take out the fleet in the system defending the odd structure that they had placed in orbit around the planet, which had been named a sterilization hub. We headed over, wiped out the station, and commenced bombardment of the planet. When we got to the planetary fortification level down to 0, we got a notification here to say that the machine world had been destroyed. Spiix started to lose some of his battleship shipyards that were on the edge of his space, with the large contingency incursion slowly encroaching on. So, with the first world now destroyed, we set off in the direction of the incursion sites 2 and 3. First of all, we took back the planets that the contingency had stolen from us, or attacked and wiped out, and then, when it got into strike range, we opted to jump in to the sterilization hub systems and take out the hubs there.
Damn, they're moving slowly. What the fuck? Huh? Oh, there we go.
Go blow their shit up before they get...
Construction complete.
One thing we did notice that when you were destroying and reclaiming planets taken from us by the Contingency, when we landed an army, then we could claim back the planet instantly. So we plotted.
Xenomongrels have declared war on each other.
Dragon's angry. I was about to get fucked.
A miscalculated jump. As fuck.
Construction complete.
Hub 4 was in the Queptilian Empire space to the far north, and had been slowly expanding out from there into other AI territories further north. Stanz moved his fleet up to the borders of his space. Spiix did the same, and I moved mine up alongside Spiix as well. We had decided to wait on this hub. Every time the contingency took a system from our enemy, it was another system we could jump into and claim as our own. It was a way of going to war without having to go to war. I had just about finished the construction of a sentry array megastructure, so I'd be able to see everything going on within their space anyway. With our fleets in position to defend the contingency expanding in the wrong direction, we actually left them to grow. Eventually, the Contingency attempted to expand into the Awakened Empire space next door to the incursion system, but in doing so managed to trigger a massive 700k fleet to come in and squash them. We took this opportunity to jump into the last sterilization hub and finish off the 4th incursion point. But it still wasn't over. Upon destroying that 4th machine world, it triggered another 5th site to be revealed, deep within Stanz's space. It was the origin of the signals that had plagued us from the very beginning, but was the most heavily fortified system we had seen yet. So, as the fleet had already reassembled to tackle the 4th hub, we literally did 3 jumps and redeployed into the new super hub system.
Jumping. Now with more Space Dragon. No fleet, what are you doing? You're all long ranged. I hate the fleet AI, it's absolutely true.
Oh, I forgot the
Holy laser beams! What the fuck?
Laser.
the Drakes is better.
See, the shields are already gone, it's not. I think the lasers are coming from like little peripheral thingies that we've mostly destroyed now.
Construction complete.
Well, who got terminated and annihilated then? Hmm?
With that, the Contingency Endgame Crisis was over, and order was restored to the galaxy.
Ooh. I can't see it because there's so many ships in the way. Oh, glorious victory.
Everyone promptly closed their borders to us all again and went back to their own little isolated areas of space. The threat now had come from the direction of the Awakened Empire. It had a massive fleet, with a fleet power of well over 1 million. So we pulled all our ships back into our shipyards again, now the Endgame Crisis was over, and refitted them back for maximum all-roundedness. Now the Awakened Empire was actually a Holy Custodian Empire, which meant that there are worlds in the Empire considered sacred and under the protection in the galaxy. Normally, if you begin colonizing one of these worlds, the Fallen Empire will declare war on you and purge the planet of your existence. Now, the enemy fleet was vast, and their military stations and space stations were equally as powerful. So, ideally, we wanted to try and bait them away from their stations and starbases. So, we baited the hook. One of the planets on the edge of Stanz's empire, right next to the Fallen Empire, was a holy world. The whole Federation placed our fleets in orbit above the planet, and then Stanz sent in a colony ship to commence taking over the planet. We was expecting a war declaration to come in, but it never came. So, instead, we decided to declare war on them.
Their other fleets
And
are
jump into their space and
coming.
take a punt at it.
Oh, yep. 317k just below us, and 272k. Engage!
set lasers to kill, men.
Attacking the spaceport. I'm attacking the spaceport. Fuck. How do they tachyon lasers?
I've got like 50 ships with
Oh,
particle lances.
God, look at this. Oh my God.
Our
the
swarm
strike-
is greater than their swarm.
Yeah, the strike craft. Holy crap.
I don't know if mine have launched yet.
Oh my God, the lasers, they're freaking everywhere.
With such a screen of strike craft, I mean, kind of surprising that any other kinetic artillery is actually hitting the enemy.
Yeah. Just fire forward.
Fire the particle lance. Sir, we've destroyed 300 of our own fighters.
Stop flying in straight lines.
Serpentine, men, serpentine.
Well, I found the ether drake. It's just like the Where's Wally of space battles. Yeah.
One fleet of theirs pretty much annihilated.
Strike craft wars. There it goes.
Ah,
Yeah. I got the strike craft again. Holy crap. Oh my god, the pew pew tachyons. Rawr.
fucking light show.
Look at the puny amount of strikecraft they have.
Yay, Dyson Sphere completed.
After a few 5-minute long battles, the combined force of our 3 fleets plus the additional Federation fleet ships, which had also been created, allowed us to destroy the Fallen Empire's biggest fleets. The game was now essentially over. Nothing in the galaxy would be able to stop us. At this point, although the game didn't declare victory officially, there was nothing but the mechanics of war score and peacetime stopping us from finishing it off, so it became more of a time-killing exercise. I asked Spiix and Stanz for comments on what they thought of Synthetic Dawn and the game they had just played.
I get so lazy late game. Like, so many things not upgraded and buildings with pops full with no buildings on them.
But sir, we're starving! Can you not spend 10 minerals on food? And Stan's like, nope.
Stanz is like, I need more energy! Screw your food.
You to the energy mines.
I have galaxy surplus, it's fine.
Yes, everything's fine, because, you know, this half of the galaxy has too much food. This half of the galaxy is starving. But in general, the food that's rotting in this half of the galaxy storehouses is more than what's required to feed this half of the galaxy, creating an equilibrium. And then some.
Well, I am a slave empire. Don't push your morals on me. What have we all learned?
Robots. Robots are the better hive mind. The hive mind that people love to love.
I think that ultimately what I've learned from this is that potatoes and robots can coexist in peace.
It's only because you have the biggest fleet. I mean, yes. Robospuds.
Just
Robots in your yard.
Just waiting for the next crisis. Rise of the Spuds.
Well, there were already, you know, like corrupted robots. Next up, corrupted vegetables.
Followed by Galaxy of the Spuds.
So, Spiix, both you and I have played robots for the first time here. What did you think of them?
Well, I really I don't really like all the faction craps. So I liked being hive mind, but then the entire galaxy hated you. But now with robots, people don't tend to hate you. And the cyborganizing thing is really cool. I mean, like, finally make those aliens you conquer useful. Because, you know, when you're playing a normal race, I guess, you conquer other races and they're gonna be forever angry.
What did you guys think of the spread and speed of the contingency? The times we've gone up against the Scourge and how fast they expanded, I was surprised at how the contingency didn't spread.
Yeah, that's the thing. They only had like one point of production really per invasion point, I guess you could say, and they didn't really play together. So they were out conquering things with their fleet, and we could easily just jump into their assembly area where they made new units, overwhelm the fleet that was there, and destroy the planet itself. We're really easily taking out their production capabilities without fighting all their fleets. They were out bombing other shit that would literally gain them nothing.
Yeah, the combined fleet power for them was terrifying, but they were going around in small groups, so it wasn't so much of a big issue.
Yeah, so in the end we traded some planets for ending the crisis, and then we just reconquered the planets. But yeah, I mean,
the whole being able to colonize any of the planets seems like a massive advantage.
It is incredibly good, really. I really didn't colonize anything smaller than an 18 size.
Yeah, looking over your empire, you have a lot of empty planets.
But they're so tiny. 13, 17, 12, 14, 19. Oh, this one was actually machine worlded, but I was too lazy.
Which is kind of funny considering the Empire's differences. Because of the positioning of the other AI, I had no choice. I had to inhabit every planet to get the most out of the solar systems.
Yeah, and you made habitats and everything. I got Voidborn as well, but just because I wanted to build the science nexus. It's the only reason I got that. Never build a single ring world, never build a single habitat.
Yeah, funny seeing that we were both cyborgs with essentially the same playstyle, except for the fact that you rapidly expanded by taking planets that were the biggest, and I just had to grab everything.
You just had to take all you could get. And then right now, I'm the only planets I've been taking for like the past 100 years were machine worlds. So big planet, make that into a machine world and colonize when done.
Well, I did get the, there are various circumstances where you can get to that point with a normal race being able to colonize other planets through gene modification or transforming the planets, but it seems like a massive advantage to have pretty early on.
Yeah, it does feel really, really strong, especially now with the colony ships being much more expensive. It's obviously much better to colonize a 25 planet than an 18 planet.
Yeah, because you're getting more than a 20 tile planet than a smaller one for the same mineral cost.
I guess that the counter argument would be that I always avoid robots, whether that's the right thing to do or not. I just generally don't go that way. But now, potentially the argument is that I should be using robot planets more, maybe, even in my normal empire. I guess that's one of the things that actually changed in this patch as well, isn't it? That anyone can build robots now, even if you're a spiritualist.
Yeah. Well, with the Space Snakes race, I've kind of like the same setup as you, Stanz. So I didn't do robots with them either. It was just the slaves do good for mineral and food, so they do that, and everyone else does other things, which is what the starting robots do. They're good at mineral mining and not good at science, and they're okay at food.
So I have to ask, play a machine empire versus an organic empire. Prefer the machine empire versus an organic one?
Yeah, honestly, yes, because, like I said, I'm not a fan of factions. It seems like you can't please them to me. So having an empire that's just entirely happy and entirely supportive of whatever your endeavors are is really cool.
Thoughts on downsides?
Yeah, like I said, you have to pay the upkeep for your robots, which is energy. And it also takes a hell of a long time to populate an entire world.
Yeah, I think.
And you have to micromanage it constantly.
That's the only thing I did notice. Filling a planet with tiles does take quite a bit of time, not to mention even establishing a colony on those planets, whereas organics don't seem to suffer from the same problem.
Yeah. That's why I took expansion as well, because that helped a lot with the free pop.
So what traits did you go?
I went discovery, yeah, because expansion seemed useless, but I was wrong. So I went discovery, expansion, supremacy, prosperity, versatility, synchronicity.
Situation
I would normally, I think I said this before, I would normally start with prosperity, but due to the change to the adoption effect of that and generally the increase to the base resources, which I think is a really good thing. I think that actually gets the game started off the ground a lot better. You get more base currencies, resources, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, I think that ultimately is too much of a nerf to prosperity for me to take that at the beginning now. So I went expansion first, which I don't normally do. I think I then went harmony and then supremacy, just to be ironic. And yeah, I thought that worked pretty well.
And perks?
Technological ascendancy as first, always, because, better research speed is better having everything.
Likewise.
Then instant interstellar dominion, because I had a lot of ground to cover for my borders, and generally I just enjoy border range so much.
Likewise.
Then synthetic age, because I wanted to play around with the modification points, but that turned out to be a mistake, because I already used all the trait points. I couldn't actually do more traits, and I already had enough modification points to remove the negatives from research, so this was a bit of a nyeh. And then machine worlds. Oh my god, they were great. Percent resource output, damn straight. And I Voidborn and Galactic Wonders. I only went Voidborn to get the research to get Galactic Wonders. And then I have 2 slots not available yet.
Same at the beginning, technological ascendancy, interstellar dominion, imperial prerogative for 5 core sector systems, which, to be honest, I didn't really need. I think in the end I started using the sectors more out of laziness than anything else.
I tend to get core worlds with the race things and everything. I get the +2, which
I think I had that as well. I think I had like I'm currently on 15.
I'm at 17 out of 16, but that's with redoable research to get +1 core sector. I get like 7 at the start, I think. 7 core.
Yeah, I didn't go so much into the core sector systems research as I wanted to test out how much better the sector AI was.
It is better, it just does it really slowly. You get the pop-up of a pop unemployed, you instantly go there, build a building. Even before you get the pop-up, really, you just plan everything out, queue it, gets built. And the sector AI just tends to take a while to notice and to build a new building and to build that new pop. It gets around to it eventually, and it's a lot better at, not building stupid things at stupid places. It's actually quite okay now at what it does. It just takes a long time.
I wonder how much it's doing it because we, as a machine empire, don't have things like food, so there's a limitation for structures to build.
Have you actually let the sector AI do an entire planet without touching it yourself? I don't know if they managed to build like Unity buildings, things I think are really important, things like the energy hub, things like the special buildings that you get through research or traits or whatever. I let them do some thingies here, but
Yeah, it's building Unity buildings.
personally that's the first thing I plonk down on a new colony. It's the Unity building, because it's so hard to get. Finally, you can see how technologically advanced they were when you were, in your infancy.
I'm curious how much of a difference it would have if you took, I'm just looking at the Ascension perks, if you took One Vision, like as one of your earliest perks. Because late game, I'm guessing it's not really going to make much difference, because your pops are kind of, you kind of already have them by that point. They've kind of already made up their horrible minds.
What's One Vision again?
Plus 50% governing ethics attraction. But but yeah, the funny thing is that the whatever you want to call them, the contingency, they lost effectively. The other
Well, they messed with the Awakened Empire at that point, and then just got their fleets crushed and crushed and crushed.
Yeah, they bought a 200k
Well, it wasn't.
and then the Empire came in with like a 700k fleet. Went, nah.
Well, it wasn't the Awakened. It wasn't the Awakened Empire didn't really fight them back. It was the Red guys.
That too, but the Red guys were getting a run for their money, and then the Contingency attacked an Awakened Empire system, and then the Awakened Empire was like, "Oh hell no!"
Yeah, I just find it quite amusing that while we were dealing with, the crisis and everything else,
yeah.
the Awakened Empire just attacked everyone else and left us alone. So I was kind of, because there's something about the Fallen Empire supposed to be able to help with the crisis as well, isn't there? I guess in their own way they kind of did. Kept everyone else off of us, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not the intended scenario.
Well, I think by that point that everyone else has gotten too scared of us, really, because already Federation don't really want to fight the three strongest powers in the galaxy. I guess.
Do either of you guys think the building AI is improved?
Like the sector one, yeah.
Well, do you think they are differentiated? Because I just kind of imagined that they would be. Logically, you would have thought they wouldn't be that dissimilar. The AI going on a planet and building their own resources, you would have thought is the same kind of logic that is used for your sectors going
for
on
AI,
planets.
yeah. For computer opponents, they're building strategies, I guess.
Both, let's say.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, they looked really similar from the planets I conquered. They didn't really seem specially built up or stupidly built up in any way. Like previously, they just put on farms and farms and farms, and once you conquered an enemy civilization, you'd have food for the rest of the game.
That's a fair point, actually. I didn't pay quite that much attention. They probably don't overbuild farms, but what I did notice when taking planets is they didn't seem to give a crap what the resource was on that tile. They just built whatever they thought.
Yeah, that's possible. I didn't really notice that too much. The planets just seemed roughly balanced, which is fine for me. And then I just put on the Unity building that got destroyed from conquering the planet and a planetary administration and called it quits. Good enough planet, added to the punch.
I must say, I did like the small things, but some of the updates they've done to the user interface. I said before that putting the player things highlighted in there makes playing a multiplayer game so much easier and being able to find people. But it's such a small little thing, yeah. What else is it they've done? I like the templates for the gene modification, which I guess is what they put in for the robots primarily, but the fact that they've made that there for the gene modification as well. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like trees.
Yeah, but also the fact that you could just create templates and apply them. The way they've changed that, I think that works. That works quite nicely.
I don't know. I like most of the patch changes. I think the adding of the machine things is really cool. It's doesn't change the game too much, but adds some really fun flavors and new way to play. Semi-new way to play, because the core of the game is not different, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I'm a fan.
Yep, pretty much. General improvement.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't get the content pack, the new patch is a big step up from... Honestly... Well, when I saw the Machine Empire spawning with... How much was it? Like 800k? I thought, yeah, we're done for. I mean, the Brethren spawned with a lot less, and God knows they've eaten our worlds. Yeah, I was pretty confident we were going to lose them, but yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't worried.
Well, we played
I
it
was
really Russian.
genuinely more interested to see what they were going to do. So I didn't necessarily think that we weren't going to lose, but I didn't get worried. I was just like, I'm just kind of intrigued.
Yeah,
what they're
because
gonna
you were
do.
miles away.
One of them was in my space.
Edge of your space.
Special project complete.
Oh, one of them was at the edge of your space, wasn't it? I don't think any one of them was right in the middle of your space.
Not in the middle, no. They were all like in the little hodgepodge where all our empires meet at the south there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of where the air away. But yeah, I think the biggest threat actually was the way that yeah, saw that 700 big fleet on the air. We were like,
Let's hope they don't go to war with us anytime soon.
yeah.
Especially because we were like, oh crap, 800k, and then another 200k jumped in, and then 500k jumped in, and they had 1.5 million in total. Like, please no.
I mean, I was panicking because the Empire kept seeing me as belligerent. So I was just like, oh, they've declared war against these guys, and then these guys, and the consortium's here, so the contingency is here. It's like, I hope they don't declare war at me while we're fighting contingency, because they're gonna screw us over if they do.
Yeah, they've always were belligerent towards me because I turned down their request to become Dominion. No.
I was disappointed that they didn't take the base of the Holy World.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was what we was expecting. We were the whole fleet amassed in that system. We kind of sit over the top of the pristine jewel, half expecting the Awakened Empire to like stroll in and say, I don't think so.
Fully expecting.
Fully expect, and they just never did.
We had battle lines drawn and everything.
Yeah, we were all revved up, ready to go. And then,
Federation fleet in front, my fleet at the back. No, we had to attack them. Now we'll go down in history as the aggressors.
yeah, you take a planet and we're sitting there and we're like, don't they normally get
Shouldn't they care?
and then we're like, now we've colonized the planet and they still haven't declared war? Oh, okay, I guess we're gonna go to war then.
Yes. Turns out we want their shit. Turns out their stuff was our ancient birthright. Who knew?
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, don't worry, we're famous now. Famous. Which are gonna skyrocket in fame as well, riding my coattails.
Yes, that wasn't a euphemism.
Yes, we can all return to my home just where we had Victor's retirement home, Stanz retirement home, we can all have to retire.
Can we not just, take all these planets I have and move them next to the retirement home so I can still gaze over my empire and we're like, you! Back to work. Squee! I've invented a giant death laser! Squee!